Okay, everybody, this is board problem number 2. Survey records many variables of interest in the research of interest to the researchers conducting the survey. Which of the following variables from a survey conducted by the U.S. Postal Service is categorical? All right, well that's easy enough. Categorical is anything that doesn't have to deal with numbers. Okay, so county of residence, that sure looks like it's categorical. Number of people, nope. Number, nope. Total household of income, no, income's a number. Age of respondents, no, age is a number. So the only one that's categorical is this one right here. Okay, I said in the last one, like numbers on a football jersey, you guys, that would be categorical because those don't really describe numeric things. They're describing a person. Okay. All right. So dot plots and stem plots. Here we go. So here's a pie chart, which is a circle graph of the data of soft drinks from the previous lesson. Okay. You don't, if you're in my class, you don't have to write this down, you guys. So I just want to describe it to you real quick, okay? So Coca-Cola was the big one right here. Remember, a circle is 360 degrees right here. So I would take 44.1% or 0.441 and multiply it by 360, and you get like 158 or 159 degrees. So that's how many degrees opening this one would be right here. Okay, and then Pepsi would be this dude over here. So 360 again times 0.314, and that'd be how many degrees opening this one would be right here, and so on. Okay, so you'd be moving your compass around to make those certain degrees. Only thing about circle charts, you guys, or pie graphs, you guys, is you have to have this other in here to wrap up your 100% of your circle. Otherwise, you'd have a gap in there. All right. Okay, so this information comes from example 1.4 that's on page 11, and it reads this: the number of goals scored by each team in the first round of the California Southern Section Division 5 high school soccer playoffs is shown in the following table. So these are the goalies right here. So we're going to make a dot plot. Dot plots are real common. Get used to these. We're going to be doing these and stem plots and bar graphs and all that right here. Oops, looks like you can't see this down here. This looks like 5, and this will be 6 right here. This will be 7 right here. Okay, so here's all the zeros. You can see I highlighted them in red. I think there's 11 of them, I think. Okay, so all the ones, I'll highlight those in red next. Okay, there's all the ones right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there should be 6 dots right here. And then all the 2s, I'll highlight those. Okay, so, and then all the 3s, all the 4s, there's just that 1 4 right there. There's 2 5s, there's no 6s, and there's that 1 7 right there. Okay, so that's a dot plot right there. Okay, all right, can you see that? And let's see, I hope I had done good. I didn't. Okay, this graph is said it's to be skewed to the right, and we'll talk more about that later on in this lesson right here. It's skewed to the right. Okay, all right, so choosing your graphs. Dot plots are good when the values are not spread out, like the goalies. They weren't very spread out. Pie charts, you'd have to include all categories to make up the entire circle. So you'd have to, most of the time, have to include the category other to make up 100% of your circle right there. So if you don't have 100%, you can't do that. Okay, so that's what that says right there. Bar graphs are more flexible and can be used on pretty much everything, you guys. So describe the graphs, okay, and this is important. So how to describe the center, you always want to say the center. The center is the value that divides the data in half. Okay, so for example, the dot plot, 1 is the center because there are just as many numbers at or below 1 as there are above. So here we go right here. There are 28 goals scored right here, 28 numbers here, dots right here, and so the 14th one in is somewhere in here. So 1 would be the center. Okay, even though it's not, the center over here. 1 is the center because there's just as many dots below as above for that right there. Okay, the spread describes by giving the largest and the smallest value. So here the spread on the goalies was, it went from 0 to 7 goals. Okay, that was the spread. The shape of the graph could be long-tailed to the right, like that dot plot. It was long-tailed to the right. Or it could be long-tailed to the left. When it's to the right, that's when we say it's skewed to the right. And when it's to the left, it's skewed to the left. Okay, some graphs are not skewed, and we'll talk more about that later. An outlier is any individual that falls way, I should have put that word in there, way outside the overall pattern of the graph right there. All right, so stem plots, or stem and leaf plots, they used to be called, now they're called stem plots, are used when the values are too spread out for dot plots. Okay, and the leaf is the rightmost digit, so like if I said 23, 3 would be the leaf. Okay, the stem is everything else, so 2 would be the stem. Say I had 125. 5 would still be the leaf, and then 12 would be the stem. Okay? All right, so this data comes from example 1.5 on page 13. It involves caffeine levels, so you don't have to write this big old next chart. I would like you to write this down right here, though, if you're in my class. It involves caffeine levels of some popular soft drinks. Okay, so here it is right here. So this is the U.S. Food and Drug Administration limits the amount of caffeine in a 12-ounce can of soda to 72 milligrams. Okay, so here's data from popular soft drinks, okay? And then notice this says milligrams per 8 ounces. So there's nothing that's even close to 72. Whoops. There's nothing even close to 72. Let me undo that right there. Okay, because it's only 8 ounces right there. 8 ounces is 2/3 of 12 ounces, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so notice your stem first. Your stem is all the tens digits. So I see some 10s, I see some 20s. Oops, there's a 40 right there. There's some 30s. So my stems are the 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, my leaves are all the units digits. So we're going to do so caffeine content. So there's my stem for my 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. Yes, I want you to write that down if you're in my class. Okay, and then all my leaves are, so there was a 15, there was another 15, and there was a 16. Can you see that? Okay, and then all the 20s that I saw, there was a lot of them, you guys. I saw all of these. So I see a 20, a 23, a 23, a 23, a 24, a 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, and then finally a 29. Okay, and then my 30s. There's all my 30s and there's all my 40s. So you probably want to pause it to write that down. So what's the shape? Okay, now I'm going to, when you describe the shape, you have to stand that baby up. Okay, so there it is, stood up right there. Sorry, it's kind of squished over right there. So that shape right there, so I mean, sorry, this is in the way. Sometimes my videos, this isn't in the way, and sometimes it is, and it is on this one. All right, so this has total skyscrapers. There's a skyscraper and there's a skyscraper. When it has skyscrapers, you guys, you split the stems up. So I'm going to split the stems up from 0 to 4 and then 5 to 9. So this means this would be like 10 to 14, and this would be 15 to 19, and then 20 to 24, and then 25 to 29. So I'm going to split the stems up. So there it is, split with the stems up right there. Okay, so here's 15, 15, 16, and then I don't have any that's below for 10s and 11s and 12s, but I do have some 20s to 24s and some 25s to 29s right there. Okay, here it's easier to see when I do that right there. It makes it easier to see that there's more numbers between 25 and 29 than there are 35 to 38. Okay, the center is that 28 right there because there's 38 numbers. That's the 19th number in, so there's just as many below as above. Okay, the highest is 47, and note this is for 8 ounces, so 2/3 of 12 ounces. So if I go multiply by the reciprocal, I get 3 halves, so 3 halves times the 47 gets me 70.5, okay, or 70.5 milligrams of caffeine for a 12-ounce soda. Okay, so it gets me close to that 72 cutoff right there. So tips on stem plots, you guys. If you split the stems up, make sure the stems have the same number of digits. Okay, there's no magic number to the stems. When too many gives a flat graph and too few gives skyscrapers. So 5 is a good minimum when you split them up, okay? So a histogram is just a bar graph that's pushed together. So this is an example of how to make a histogram of the president's age at inauguration. This comes from example 1.6 on page 19. Okay, you don't have to copy that down, but I want you to copy what I did before. I want you to copy this down right here, okay? And then you don't have to copy that down because you have your textbook open. All right, so what I did is I made a class in my ages, so 40 to 49 years old, 45 to 40, I'm sorry, 40 to 44, 45 to 49. These got to be all the same spread, okay? And then so then I would do the count right there, and then I would make my histograms. My histograms are all those guys all nice and squished together evenly. There it is, right there, even bigger. This little dash right here means I jumped from 0 to 40, so I don't have to go, you know, so this little, sometimes they do a little springboard or this little, I don't know what they call that right there. All right, makes sense, you guys? All right, if you're in my stat class, that would be your homework assignment, and take care.